right.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People age 5 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Hi, this is Robert Pilot here telling you about Minnesota Native American art. Did you know that Twin Cities is known for Native art? Well, if you're not familiar, then check out All My Relations Arts. It's a program that seeks to increase the visibility and value of these incredibly talented American Indian artists in all forms of art while honoring the history and the presence of indigenous cultures. And right now, All My Relations Arts is showcasing Rosie Seamus dance, She Who Lives on the Road to War. This is an immersive installation dance performance created by Rosie Seamus in response to global loss and the collective need to come together in peace and reconciliation. She Who Lives on the Road to War is a place for visitors to rest, grieve, console, and meditate. Performances will take place through mid-December. Find the performance schedule at allmyrelationsarts.com. I love all the indigenous art here in the Twin Cities, and I hope you can enjoy it too. allmyrelationsarts.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 44, then clearing skies Friday with a high of 62. There's no better time than now to experience the new Maggie's Lounge at Crooner's Supper Club. Serving up light fare and cocktails, no concert ticket is required. Crooner's Supper Club, just north of 694 off Highway 65 in Fridley. CroonersMN.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Yes, welcome. We are all over Turtle Island, presented by Civic Media Network, and this is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we talk about local and national Native news and events, and we're excited to be in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and trickling in there in Michigan, Iowa, and Dakotas. You can see us on Facebook and YouTube, and we do news and we talk about things that you don't hear normally. Ogaman, as we know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, which is a grassroots organization working for climate justice. If you're in a different state other than Minnesota, see if you have a local 350 group. They are a national organization.
I know Madison does, and they had a show on Devil Radio for I don't know how long, but I know I walked in there and their show was after Native Roots Radio at one time, so it was good to see all these young people in Madison 350.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to try to tune in on the Civic Media Network to see if I can catch that one because that sounds fabulous. They do a lot of good work over at Madison 350, just like here in Minnesota on Minnesota 350.
Yeah, definitely. It's all over. The original organization was 350, and it has to do with how much carbon that it should be in the air. And I think we're at 400, 410 or 409, if I remember right.
Yeah, something along those lines. We're definitely at that point. We've surpassed that point, and we're kind of things are not looking great climate wise for humanity.
Hey, we got a couple guests, like I said, or I don't know if I did say this. Jeff Smith, senator out of Wisconsin, is going to be on, and we've missed him. We love talking to him. He's a great ally of Native people, and he's a senator right around the Black River Falls area, which is kind of the homeland office where a lot of Ho-Chunks live. And we want to just give a quick shout out to my people, which are the Ho-Chunk Nation, and then also our relatives in Winnebago, Nebraska. Ho-hoo!
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And then we have a couple other guests coming on later in the show too, and that's going to be exciting because we're going to see Katie Smith, who's director of Minneapolis elections and voter services, and Elizabeth Day, who is a community engagement program manager with the Native American Community Development Institute. So we're excited to have these guests, and the show will go really fast. And Ogama, I feel like I should. Well, you know what? Senator Smith's on. Why don't we grab Senator Smith on? We are so excited to have him on. Let's grab him right now. Hey, Senator Jeff Smith, welcome back. We missed you.
Wow, Robert, I thought I was going to have some time to listen in before I got on. So,
well, we want to give you more time because our segments go so fast with you. So I hope you don't mind us just jumping in.
Not at all.
Ogama's got her hands full over there, so I don't know how much news the baby could tell us. So it's great to have you here a little early. So how are you, and how do things look for you specifically?
Oh, wow. How much time do you have, Robert? It's this is someone just asked me this that I've had a number of campaigns in my adult life that I've been involved in, but since since 20 starting maybe with 2020, right? But the whether it be fall elections, spring elections, it has gotten mean and meaner, and it's unfortunate. And candidates that are on the ballot, there are too many that I would say should not be on the ballot for disgraceful reasons, including maybe the person running against me. But it's just gotten mean, and you used to be able to count on, or not count on, but you could expect people would put a little more effort into judging a person's character and values, and lining them up and crossing over, voting this person Republican or this Democrat, and this Republican and this Democrat. But there are fewer and fewer people out there now that cross over. It used to be, in fact, I'll tell you one last thing, Robert, and I know you want to jump in here, but this year's so different in this regard, and that what I just mentioned. But it was a badge of honor for people to tell me when I would knock on their door that they were an independent voter, that they voted for the person, not the party. And I bet I can count on one hand how many times anybody's ever told me that this year.
Oh, yeah. Well, hearing your story and what you're going through, I just want to personally thank you for doing that. I know you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to put up with this, but you are doing it in a good way. And that's why we love having you on and talk about things. So I'd throw out some tobacco and some prayer for you, Jeff Smith, Senator of Wisconsin, because we know you have a good heart, and it's just hard for us here in Minnesota to see what's going on in Wisconsin with all the gerrymandering and all these things, the trying to get the the students not being able to vote and all these things that are coming up. And I just, praying and hoping that, good goes over evil. And that's hard for that's a harsh thing to say, but I really feel that. And I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we can support you and get the word out that how important it is for everybody. Since we've last talked to you, Senator Smith, we're on like 9 more stations live in Wisconsin. So we're really trying to rock the vote everywhere. And again, thank you for stopping in and doing this, because you don't have to do this, and it's emotionally hard, I'm sure.
Well, I'm so glad to be here, Robert, with you. This is a pleasant break from some of from the politics that are out there. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep it. Well, I just got to tell you a quick thing off. We got a couple minutes with this segment left, and one of the things is I'll be in Milwaukee Saturday, and I get to, because of my other job, I get to have a picture with Obama. So, and then we're going to try and fire up the base there for the lieutenant governor there, and get him some more votes. So I'm excited to come to God's country and support our Wisconsin people.
Oh, that's great, Robert. Good for you.
Yeah. So, what can we do? Like I said, we have a lot more people listening in Wisconsin. What can we do to support you? And I know we just got a minute here, knocking on doors. We're so close. We're, what is it? 10 days, 9 days till
12 days, 12 days. If you count election day.
Yeah.
I guess the question is to ask, everyone should ask themselves, what are they going to do to find one more voter that they can bring to the polls?
Right. Well, Wendy and I are going to vote tomorrow, and then we're going to be open to be able to help people get to the polls, either the day of or get to the polls, because that's important. And we talk about this a lot, Jeff, is we gotta have a plan. You got to have a plan to vote, and whether that plan has to do with voting early or on that day. And then, like you said, take 5 people with you, take one person, see who needs a ride, reach out to, a college student or somebody that might be busy. And if they need a ride, let's give them a ride. So Jeff, can you hold on? We're going to do another quick segment here. And we got commercials, we have to.
I'm here for you, Robert. Thank you.
All right, right on. We're here with Wisconsin Senator Jeff Smith. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
We are living in a critical time for Indian country. Climate chaos threatens our land, water, and communities. Voting is one way we can protect our planet for future generations. Voting creates a collective power in the fight for our future. Have one-on-one conversations with your friends and family to make sure that they're making informed voting choices. Voting is our voice. This November, NADKI is asking us to stand together and make voting a tradition. Go to makevotingatradition.org to learn more and to make your pledge to vote.
Bijou, I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here with State Senator Jeff Smith of Wisconsin, and we are discussing this coming election. You know, we haven't talked in a while to the senator, and we're here to support you and talk good thoughts and think good things. Senator Smith, you seem a little blue, and I'm not used to this because you're always a pretty super duper positive person. So it's hopefully we can uplift you here and talk about really the great work you're doing, and we need people like you to run for office. So again, thanks for stopping in.
You already started, Robert. I listening to the messages, and I love the idea of make voting a tradition. What a great message to get out there and to start that tradition with every family out there. It is so important, and I also like your message about how important this is to our native tribes. You know, there is certainly well, we know what's going on in this country and in my state too, is with this push against anyone with dark skin. It is embarrassing. It is frustrating. It is wrong. But I'm going to just say that we are fighting back, and we are not going to give in. You know, the fact is, what really happens in our country, and in our state, and in the state I represent, is the conservative movement has always used minorities as someone to point the finger at, as this is the reason you may struggle to pay your bills. They got to find someone to blame for someone else's struggles. And it's easy to blame a community that may or may not have the voice that they should have to fight back. And you know, Robert, that's one of my goals has always been to try to be a voice for those who don't have a voice.
Exactly. And as a Native American, we need allies like you big time. And yeah, you know, Native Americans have been able to vote for less than 100 years. You know, that's insane. My grandma could not vote. You know, just thinking that's not that long ago. You know, and we're fighting a good fight. And I feel like Senator Smith, it's not only against brown people, our BIPOC people, but I feel like this is a class war. This is the rich people versus the poor people. And the rich people since the 80s, all the way back to Reagan, have been pitting us against each other. And it's insane because normal allies that, you know, maybe supported the Republican Party in 2016 were like, you know, it kind of blew my mind that they would support somebody like Trump, and now Trump's little minions running around. I don't know. What's your feeling on that? I really feel like it's a class war too.
It is a class war, but you're exactly right. What you just said is similar to what I'm saying, is that they've found ways to pit us against each other. So it's you know, people may look at this as that a line up and down, a vertical line, but yet it's become a horizontal line of people voting, some would say against their own best interest, but actually pitting neighbor against neighbor. Those of us at that same economic level, when in fact it really is a class war, and it feels very much like we are being moved back towards a class system.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people don't realize that what they're supporting. I mean, we're all about change and making things better. And, this change that came about was not making things better. And it was just total lies. I think the past president, not Biden, but Trump, at one point had 11,000 lies. I mean, and I don't even know if that was per year or his whole presidency, but that's amazing to follow somebody, and that's keep church and state separated, which is really turning gray. That line is turning grayer and grayer. It's like the religious right have really taken over, and it's been really subtle.
Well, yet as long as you brought it up, Robert, I've got to say, I'm done putting up with the notion that religious right owns values or family values. They have chosen to close their eyes to some of the most egregious, awful behaviors of people like Trump, people like the guy that I'm running against, who we've discovered a month ago had a investigation run by the State Department of Justice when he was a police officer for his actions towards young girls and soliciting them for sexual favors to avoid getting tickets. I've heard from people over and over the past months that kept telling me these stories, and I kept saying, well, there's rumors as far as I'm concerned, but now we have this actual investigation that was run. And then I hear from people saying, well, when my daughter was a teenager during those years, there were instructions of where you can drive and not drive because you don't want to drive through that particular officer's territory.
Wow.
And yet people are still defending these people like him and voting and ready to vote for someone like that. And he's not the only one. It is so frustrating. If they attacked our nation's capital to overturn an election,
Right.
it's just incredible what has happened to this country and our own neighbors.
Well, we have to. I saw a hat, like I think it was Trump's second year, that was on Facebook, and it said, "Make racists afraid again." And I think all these, elements have been out there, but maybe they didn't vote, and maybe they didn't feel like they could say anything or be shot down, and now they're all proud and pumping their chest, and uh, and they're out there. They're out of the woods, and they're showing up now, and
They
they're
really are.
speaking.
They really
And
are. So I knock on a lot of doors. My territory covers 7 counties, and I get to these small communities, and almost, well, I shouldn't say every community, but I've taken pictures of Confederate flags flying in people's yards and hanging in their windows. It is downright concerning and even scary to think of the direction we're going and how people don't seem to understand the real meaning of that.
yeah, before I go to Ogama, I was just going to say, what's totally bizarre in Bizarro World is that flag was only around 4 years, and during the Civil War that lasted 5 years. So, like, come on, seriously. Go ahead, Ogama.
The thing that struck me that I heard recently, somebody said that they're not afraid of the KKK coming and marching down the street with their torches. They're afraid of those people when they're not wearing their hoods and they're doing their jobs down at the local courthouse or as a police officer or, whatever job they might have where they wield power over other people, and how much more dangerous that is than when people, wave a Confederate flag. But when we see those signs, we see those flags, we see that type of mentality growing, that people are being treated differently in those communities by those people in a lot of really subtle ways. And that's what makes it so dangerous.
Well, you are right, Ogama. Thank you for putting it in those words and in that perspective. You are right.
Yeah, we're here with Senator Jeff Smith, and we've really missed you, Senator. And we got a couple minutes left in this segment, really like a minute 30. I would like you just to say your piece and how we can support you. And if you need help knocking on doors, let's hear your spiel here in the last minute, if you don't mind.
Okay. My website is togetherwithjeff.com. And so you can always go there and contact us through there. And yes, right now with 12 days to go, the most important thing someone can do is volunteer and talk to strangers. And I know that's really stepping out of your comfort zone for most people, but that's what has to happen. For the most part, it is, you'll find it to be the most enjoyable thing you've ever done when people open up to you and are grateful that you've come to their door to give them information and help them learn more about how they should vote and why they should vote. So that's so important. We cannot diminish at all the critical nature of this particular election, but also the fact that we may be coming close to losing our ability to have a free vote for everyone who is eligible. And it is being taken away from a lot of people already. And we need to protect that freedom to vote. So thank you for offering this opportunity for me to be on your show. I hope I'm back after this election and we can get back onto a regular schedule. But I'll give you one last bad news is that they did gerrymander my district so that I lost. They cut around Black River Falls, so I do not have that Ho-Chunk Nation any longer in my district, and it is so frustrating. But you know what? I will always represent the nation.
Right on. Thanks, Jeff. We will talk to you again, and maybe before the election too. Thanks for stopping in. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People age 5 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Hi, this is Robert Pilot here telling you about Minnesota Native American art. Did you know that Twin Cities is known for Native art? Well, if you're not familiar, then check out All My Relations Arts. It's a program that seeks to increase the visibility and value of these incredibly talented American Indian artists in all forms of art while honoring the history and the presence of indigenous cultures. And right now, All My Relations Arts is showcasing Rosie Seamus Dance, she who lives on the road to war. This is an immersive installation dance performance created by Rosie Seamus in response to global loss and the collective need to come together in peace and reconciliation. She Who Lives on the Road to War is a place for visitors to rest, grieve, console, and meditate. Performances will take place through mid-December. Find the performance schedule at allmyrelationsarts.com. I love all the indigenous art here in the Twin Cities, and I hope you can enjoy it too. allmyrelationsarts.com.
This is Santita Jackson. Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. Central, we'll bring you the best progressive talkers, thinkers, and doers on AM 950, Minnesota's progressive voice.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Ever since my grandfather founded Standard over 90 years ago, word-of-mouth advertising and referrals from our customers have always been important. That's why, after serving over 500,000 customers, we're proud to have a 4.9-star average rating out of 5 on our online reviews. Check them out for yourself and find out more at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 44, then clearing skies Friday with a high of 62. There's no better time than now to experience the new Maggie's Lounge at Crooner's Supper Club. Serving up light fare and cocktails, no concert ticket is required. Crooner's Supper Club, just north of 694 off Highway 65 in Fridley. CroonersMN.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, this portion of the show is brought to you by Make Voting a Tradition, a program of the Native American Community Development Institute. If you have not yet made your plan or your pledge to vote, you have 12 days until November 8th for the midterm elections. Go to makevotingatradition.org to make your pledge and find out more.
Hey, thanks, Ogama. Hey, we have a couple cool guests here. We're just talking a little bit about the city of Minneapolis and how election and how to vote and how to think. And I'm here, election day is, Tuesday, November 8th, and early voting is well underway. If you haven't voted yet, and some of you may be planning to vote for the first time this year, we're going to get answers and, make some questions and find out about what we should have, voter ideas. And joining us now is Katie Smith, a director of the Minneapolis Election and Voter Services, and Elizabeth Day. Elizabeth Day is Community Engagement Program Manager with Native American Community Development Institute. Welcome, you both. Ho, Katie, or Elizabeth, I saw you earlier today. Ho, good to see you again.
That's funny because I bought a rock that said Hoa on it at the farmer's market.
Dang. I say it too much. People laughing with me or at me, I'm not too sure, but and Katie, how's it going there? Let's get down to brass tacks because we want to figure out a good way. And I'm going to go to Katie right now first, and I'm going to ask you, we have less than 2 weeks, election day. What should voters be doing right now at this time, this very second, Katie?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's exactly like you've been saying. It's have a plan. If you are a voter and you haven't already voted early, make a plan. There's still time if you want to cast your ballot early to come and vote in person. There's also the option to vote on election day. It just depends on how you want to cast your ballot. Just be prepared. And then we're just reminding all voters that, there's new polling places this year. There were some changes to polling places because of redistricting. So if it is your plan to vote on election day, just double check before you head out so you know where you're going to vote.
Hey, we're like on the Civic Media Network, so we're all over Turtle Island. How similar is that to Wisconsin? Because we have a big following in Wisconsin, and we're live in Wisconsin too. What do you know how similar that is?
You know, a lot of my personal knowledge is based here in Minnesota elections, but I would just encourage you to Google and double check online, make sure that you know where you're heading. It really is the preparation and planning time and the time to get those answers right now.
Yeah, definitely. And remind our audience who's eligible to vote, and what age, do you have to be this, or you have to be that, and I know one of the things before you answer that, it's really exciting too because we've been talking about this a long time, is that if we get the young ones to vote, if they vote at 18, they seem to vote the rest of their lives. So really want to push that out to our young ones too. But um, what is the situation where is there confusion, and how are you eligible, or who's eligible to vote?
Yep, to vote, you'll need to be a U.S. citizen, at least 18 years old on election day, and then to a resident of the state of Minnesota here in Minnesota for the previous 20 days prior to election day. And then we get some questions frequently because there's also the stipulation that you cannot currently be serving a felony sentence. So that means that you can't actively have a felony, you can't be on probation or parole for that felony charge. But once you've completed probation or parole or you're off of papers, you can vote again. Any past criminal record doesn't affect your right to vote.
Well, that's really good to know. I wanna bring Elizabeth in here, and I just wanna, ask her a quick couple questions here. Welcome, Elizabeth, good to see you again,
Good
and it
to
looks
see
like
you
you have your Christmas lights on or your voting lights on. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's my voting lights.
Right on. Hey, so what as a Native person now, I'm a dual citizen, I'm a citizen of Ho-Chunk Nation, and so I have my ID, but some people just have tribal IDs. What's the deal on that?
It works. It's tribal ID. You can vote with a tribal ID, no problem. It counts as a form of identification that is accepted in the state of Minnesota. I have a sorry, I know this. I have a question actually for Katie. We
Hey.
were talking about criminal voting with criminal rights. So can a person vote from jail if they don't have a felony, but maybe they're in jail at the time? Can they do absentee voting?
Yeah, unless someone's rights have been specifically revoked by the courts
Mhm.
or they fall under like that stipulation of the felony, then yeah, people can still vote and they would just need to, like we've been saying, make a plan, figure out how that's going to work best for them.
Okay, thank you for that information. I think this helps our families vote together, and it's part of making voting a tradition. So if you maybe have a relative who's currently not at home, help them make a plan to vote by mail. That's great. I love this. This is great. Thanks. But back
Yeah.
to my question. Yeah, tribal IDs work. Yes, in the state of Minnesota, you can absolutely use a tribal ID as a form of identification.
And I know I use it at the airport all the time, and,
Mm.
the veterans have seen those before, but I think new people that are just coming on, TAU, they kinda question it, and, but yeah, it's fun being, to pull that out, any chance I get. So, and making voting a tradition has been around for a few years, and I think, I mean, I remember, Elizabeth, the last cycle, uh, 2020, I shouldn't say we, but, groups like yours helped enroll 9,000 new Native Americans up in the deep north. How is that going, this cycle? Do you have any updates on that? Because that was amazing, 9,000 new Native Americans that had never voted before.
Yeah, it was the first time that I had ever participated with the census, and it was really incredible to engage with youth. And this is part of the whole approach with Make Voting Your Tradition is that we are multi-generational. We know that to engage the grandma, to engage the grandkids, it's the whole family intergenerational approach. So when we started doing our census work, it just went hand in hand with each other. And then even more exciting, not that that wasn't exciting enough, but when redistricting happened, we were able to have mapping sessions all across the state. And one of the maps that was created by our youth was the map that was used in the legislation for redistricting. And now for the first time, we have 3 reservations, Red Lake, Leech Lake, and a lot of White Earth. We're in the same Senate district now, and now we have a collective voting power. And it's so exciting to see, what are we going to do with that collective voting power? How are we going to flex our muscles? So this is something that really is inspiring to me. And it was our
Well,
youth.
Elizabeth too, we have Alan Roy running up there, a Native American, and he's been on the show many a times, and that's exciting to have that opportunity finally to have a collective of those 3 tribes up there.
I'm nonpartisan. I am C3 status, but it's just it'll be really fun to see what happens with this election and many elections to come.
Well, we're on the radio, so 90% of our people are listening to us on the radio all over the country. So just blink your eye if you agree with it. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't get me in trouble.
Right, exactly. Well, let's get back into some questions here. Is it too late to Katie, is it too late to do a mail-in yet? Here we got 12 days left. What's the deadline?
We'll keep mailing them out, but we do want people to think about how they're going to both receive it in the mail and have time to get them back to us. So we really encouraged people that wanted to just vote entirely by mail to try to get their requests in earlier this week. But we'll still continue to mail them out if someone fills out a request. And then we have where you can always drop your ballot off directly to our office or to any of our other early voting centers if it gets to the point where it doesn't have time to make it back in the mail.
Yeah, we're going to be going down. Wendy and I, my wife, are going to be going down to the other side of the river there in St. Paul to do our vote and do our due diligence a little early, so we can help other people vote, because it's a right. And as a Native American, we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's been less than 100 years that Native Americans have been able to vote. So let's get out there, people, and really. If we're not voting, then we don't have anything to complain about when the next election comes up, right? I can get an amen from you, Katie or Elizabeth. Oh,
A big hoa.
yeah.
Yeah, something that I always think about. I was inspired by Judith LeBlanc from Native Organizing Alliance, and when she talks about voting, she said, voting is not the answer. Voting is not an answer to anything. Voting is a flex of our power. Voting is a show of our strength. And when we all show up together to flex that power together, it creates a collective strength, and that will help us be stronger and better. And also, what the Secretary of State has said, by not voting, that not voting it's not a protest. It's giving up your power. It's not a protest. It is submitting to it. So don't submit. Use your strength. Flex your power.
Right on. Hey, we got less than 30 seconds here before the break. Why don't we? I'm going to bone up on a couple more questions here, and let me tell everybody who I am here with. I'm here with Katie Smith and Elizabeth Day, and we're talking about voting here in Minnesota. And again, our outstaters, look it up on Google. We'll get that up there real quick. And elections right around the corner. And Katie Smith's director of Minneapolis elections and voter service, and Elizabeth Day is the community engagement program manager at Native American Community Development Institute. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1, U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're here with a couple groovy people here with Katie Smith, a director of the Minneapolis Election and Voter Service, and Elizabeth Day, who is a Community Engagement Program Manager with the Native American Community Development Institute, which we like to call NADKI. Hey, welcome back. Let's go over... we only have 12 days left, so it's really, really important. What time, it's really important to know a few things. And so I want, and this is always something that my wife Wendy always says to me whenever we have guests on, is I would like to start with you, Katie, to explain anything that you'd like to, because we got about 8 minutes left of the show, and I want to just give you the floor, and whatever we've missed and whatever you think is really important with these 12 days, let it out. So Katie, go ahead, you first, and then Elizabeth, I want you to do the same if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked a lot about we need to make a plan. So the best place to start if you live in Minneapolis is vote.minneapolismn.gov or with a phone call to 311. That's where you can find things like the hours for our early vote center. We've got some great extended hours and some weekend voting options. It's where you can find the additional centers that we're going to open up next week, so you can find a location that works best for you. You can find information on what you would need to bring with you in order to register to vote. And you can find different solutions that we didn't even talk about, like if you can get to the vote center but you aren't able to get out of your car, we can come out and assist you. There's just a lot of great options there. So it's a great place to start is vote.minneapolismn.gov.
Wow, that's perfect. And Elizabeth, I'm going to throw you off a little bit here because there's a question right here, and I'm wondering if you can answer that. One of our listeners on Facebook, it looks like, is Danny's asking, is there transportation for people with no vehicle, and where do we go vote, and what are the hours? That's a really great question, Danny.
Yep. So I have a couple responses to that. One is if you're able to vote early, find your early voting location places. The light rail goes right downtown to City Hall. I know that is an early voting place. So there's public transportation available if you're able to vote early. If you're looking to vote day of, that is a great question. I know that a lot of people and organizations will be doing a ride to the polls, helping to make sure that neighbors and friends and relatives have a safe ride to the polls. I don't have a list of that. That is a great idea oh yeah, check Uber and Lyft. That's also a great idea. That is a wonderful suggestion to create a hub of people who are offering rides to do that. So that's my quick response, my initial reaction to it. But I love what Katie was saying about the resources and tools that are available to voters. Voting is not taking a test. You don't have to memorize the ballot and you don't have to fill the whole ballot out. You can bring in aides, you can bring in people, you can write stuff down. This is not like I have to remember it and I'll fail the test if I don't remember who's what. Yeah, go to the websites if you are looking for help understanding the ballot. There's resources out there. It's like let's take the scary out of voting, and there's help. There's lots of help.
Wow, right on. And then some people need assistance in voting. What are some of the options? And I don't think about this, so that's a great question somebody came up with.
I think Katie would probably better answer it than I. I don't want to give inaccurate information, but you can definitely have assistance.
Yeah, you can get assistance from anyone of your choosing. So you can have someone come with you to help. That person doesn't even necessarily need to be eligible to vote. So we'll often see someone bring their child to translate for them, bring someone with to help mark the ballot. The only stipulation under statute is that your assistant can't be a representative of your employer, but you can have anyone else of your choosing. If you don't have anyone to bring with you, there's elections workers there at the polls, whether you vote early or on election day, that would be more than happy to assist you. And your assistants aren't allowed to reveal how you voted or try to influence how you're voting. And then I did also want to say, I know we talked about City Hall. City Hall isn't actually our polling place. We're located out at 980 East Hennepin at the Elections and Voter Services Office, but there is downtown voting at Hennepin County's elections.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So no problem. Hey, it's a live radio show, Elizabeth. We're good here. Believe you me. Hey, so I just have a quick question, and probably would ask you, Katie, is so what again do I need to bring? Let's say I don't have an ID. Can somebody vouch for me, or do I bring a heating bill? What is the protocol now?
Yeah, wonderful question, and definitely something that you'll want to be prepared to know what you need to bring with. State of Minnesota is a no-show ID state, so if you happen to already be registered, you don't need to bring anything with you. When you come to vote, the election worker will just ask for your name and address and help you check in. If you do happen to need to register because you've never voted, you've moved, you've changed your name, you haven't voted in 4 years, then you'll need to bring a proof of residency with you, and there's lots of options for that. There's an ID card that could be a tribal ID, so long as it has both your photo and your address on there. That's all you need. If it doesn't happen to have your address listed, some of them don't, then you'll also need to bring a document with it that proves your address. So that could be a bill, like a start of service for phone or TV or internet, and those things you don't even have to bring the paper bill. You can display it if you have like a phone or tablet or something with you. You can show it electronically. And then we've got a lot of other great options that I won't go to in detail, but like you mentioned, a voucher. So if there's someone else that lives in your same precinct that knows you and knows you live there, they can come with you and sign off saying that you reside there. So there's a few other options when we start talking about student voters or people who live in residential or treatment facilities. So those, if those seem like they might apply to you, I really encourage you to go to the website and look ahead of time.
So is there a place where, and I guess I'll be asking you, Katie, is there a place where I could go and make sure I'm still registered to vote? Because they talk about sometimes people falling off the polls, or is there a place I can go?
Yes, mnvotes.gov. That'll be the Secretary of State's office website, and you'll be able to check your registration there.
Excellent. So we're closing down here, and I would like Elizabeth, if you don't mind, I'd like you to give the last words here before we end this great show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for having this conversation. It's always important information. I would say go to the Make Voting a Tradition Facebook page and find out where we'll be tabling. I think we're done this week, but next week we're going to start tabling again throughout the American Indian Cultural Corridor. And we'll have awesome t-shirts. We can help you check your registration. We can help you find your polling place, help you out with any other needs or questions that you might have. But find and Make Voting a Tradition canvasser next week and keep checking our Facebook page. But this has been a wonderful conversation, and it's always exciting to have these conversations year round too. So.
Right on. Hey, I want to say thank you, Katie Smith and Elizabeth Day. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanky.
And I'm Joe Kirk.